Sambuddhassa. Namo
Namo
Tassa.
Bhagavato
Bhagavato Arahato
Arahato
Sama
Sama
Sambuddhassa.
Sambuddhassa.
Namo
Namo
Tassa.
Tassa
Bhagavato
Bhagavato
Arahato
Arahato
Sama
Sama
Sambuddhassa.
Sambuddhassa.
Good evening, all respected Sanghas and nuns and lay devotees. Altogether, we are here for tonight about the Vajrayāna Buddhisms from the speaker, the main speaker from the Butan. So I just would like to introduce about our speaker. So please let me talk about our speaker. Yeah. So as you know about Venerable Dr. Ugyen Tshering, or my lecturer of International Buddhist Studies College, we call it in the IBSC of Mahachulalongkorn Rajawidya University, the main campus in Ayutthaya, Thailand. So Venerable Dr. Ugyen Tshering was born in Bhutan and was ordained as a Buddhist monk at a young age. So he has a profound interest in Buddhist texts and philosophy, especially within the Tibetan tradition. So he pursued his higher education in Bhutan and Thailand as well. So earning a Master of Arts in Buddhist philosophy from Tagore Buddhist University, and at another Master of Arts in Buddhist Studies and a PhD in Buddhist Studies from IBSC of Mahachulalongkorn University. So Venerable Dr. Ugyen Tshering has presented academic papers at international conferences across Asia and has contributed significantly to Buddhist academic literature through translations and original research. So currently, he is a faculty member at the International Buddhist Study College, IBSC, Mahachulalongkorn Rajawidya University, main campus in Ayutthaya, where he teaches subjects such as the Mulya Madhyamika Karika. We call that the MMK. I have been learning about that subject as well like mindfulness and meditation and the principles of Buddhist psychology when I was in the first year. Yeah. So as I remember that about the short biography of the speaker, Venerable Dr. Ugyen Tshering from Bhutan. Thank you very much. So according to today, wait for a while. Yeah, according to tonight, the education forum, the main topic, the awakening the virtual mind. So this is an introduction to the Vajrayāna Buddhism. Most people around the world are if I'm not wrong, people are from Myanmar or who are living in the another country. Usually they know about the Theravada and Mahayana Buddhisms, but not much knowing about the Vajrayāna Buddhism. So that's why tonight we are here to listen about the Vajrayāna Buddhism is called introductions from our speaker, Venerable Dr. Ugyen Tshering. So kindly, I'm respected, invited to explain and like to talk about as like it's not a formal, sometimes like freely informally explain about the introduction to the Vajrayāna Buddhism.
Firstly, may I pay homage to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha community in general, the Sangha community from the three traditions, the Theravadan tradition, Mahayana tradition, and the Vajrayāna tradition, particularly the Sangha community, those who are the great Sangha assemblage, those who are gathering here. May I humbly and sincerely pay homage to the Sangha community who are gathering here. And it's indeed such a privilege for me to share my, understanding and knowledge about Vajrayāna Buddhism to the most that well-learned venerable scholars from Myanmar. So indeed, I have such a tremendous amount of respect to the Myanmar venerables, because ever since, as far as my knowledge concerned, ever since during the Buddha was there, the Myanmar Sangha, the Myanmar was the pretty much like close to the Buddhism, and then somehow the Buddhism end up in Myanmar, and which is pretty much like the kind of the source of the Buddhist knowledge. And then I was told that Myanmar monks are so, have such a profound knowledge about Abhidharma, which I personally kind of interest, into. So that's why I really, I really respect Myanmar monks, and not just that, but also that I have many Myanmar friends in MCU, right? Nowadays I'm, as Venerable Gunenda mentioned, that I'm working as a lecturer at IBSC, so where my majority students are Myanmar. So I personally feel deeply connected with the Myanmar monks. And that's why today, when I joined you guys in this, the Zoom sort of forum, I feel very touched and feel very kind of like comfortable, I feel very comfortable, as if I just kind of reunite with my family members. So that's why I feel very comfortable, and my face was full of a smile. I couldn't control my smile, and that smile, is a really genuine smile. Normally, I don't really smile. Maybe Gunenda noticed that, because Gunenda and I have been working together for over 3 years, right? Yeah, so that's how much I am sincere, and I'm glad to join you guys. So speaking about the Vajrayāna Buddhism, so that normally the Buddhism, when it comes to Buddhism, that sometimes I maybe touch upon the philosophical aspect, as well as the practical, or the sort of theoretical aspect, of the Vajrayāna Buddhism. And so the Vajrayāna Buddhism, in fact, although the history of the Vajrayāna Buddhism, especially the contemporary scholars or the modern scholars, they believe that the Vajrayāna Buddhism somehow, kind of like derived from Mahayana tradition. So that is not the case. People these days believe that the Vajrayāna, normally we say that Vajrayāna Buddhism is a part of Mahayana Buddhism. That is for sure. But the people think that Vajrayāna Buddhism was not started during the Buddha himself. It's in fact started during the Buddha himself, right? How is that? The question might be like that during the Buddha himself, we have Theravadan Sangha there, and other forms of Sanghas are there. But how could it possibly be, forget about, the history, forget, kind of not include the Vajrayāna there. So the Vajrayāna's answer to that question is that the Vajrayāna said, the Vajrayāna Buddhism is not for all the people. Believe it or not, it is said the Vajrayāna, the teaching is not for all. Why is that so? Because if we study the Vajrayāna Buddhism, and then there are some kind of like some practices are something that we have to practice very secretly. So it's the practice that we have to practice very secretly, which is not for the common people. So that's why the Vajrayāna Buddhism is not kind of like not kind of like included within the history. And actually, the historical Buddha himself, or the Shakyamuni Buddha himself, the reason why I'm saying that the Vajrayāna Buddhism is a Buddha Vajana, or the originally originated from the Buddha himself, is because there once was a king by the name of King, how can I translate his name? Like I mentioned earlier, all the Dharma has been translated into my language. So that's why when I need to recall the Sanskrit term, I have to, I have to do little extra work. So the king name is King Indra Bhumi. So the king Indra Bhumi was one of the king somewhere modern days, somewhere between Pakistan and Afghanistan, that kind of region nowadays. And back then that was part of India, I guess. So that king, once when he was sitting in his garden, he saw that the Buddhist monks were flying over his palace, which I believe that a little bit contradict to the Theravadan tradition, where we are not supposed to show the perform the miracle power. So Gunenda, am I supposed to speak continually, or do I need to stop and you need to interpret?
Because we all can understand about English. I hope so.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why we don't
Okay,
need
okay.
to.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Then, yeah. So once the king was, sort of sunbathing in his garden, and then he saw the monks were flying over his palace like a bird, and then the king was wondering that, "Oh, what are they, what are the kind of the saffron color robe where birds are they, and there was one minister that who was having the Buddhist faith, and then he answered the king that these were the Shakyamuni Buddha's disciples. They were on the way to take their morning, alms. They're on the way to take their morning alms round. And then the king was like, "Oh, even though the Buddha's students, disciples have such miracle power, then forget about the Buddha himself. Buddha himself must be something, extraordinarily kind of qualified teacher." And then the told his minister that, "How can I invite the Buddha to my palace?" And the minister answered that Buddha possesses a lot of supernatural power. Buddha possesses a supernatural power. Buddha can read your mind as long as you have strong faith into the Buddha, and then the Buddha can come to your palace. What all we need to do is just kind of like prepare, do a little preparation for Buddha to see where place where the Buddha can sit and deliver the Dharma talk. Then that is pretty much it. We don't have to go to the Buddha's place and request him. And then the next morning, the king command his people and his minister to arrange the seat and everything there, and then the king along with his entourages or the servants waiting for the Buddha. And then on the morning Bindabat's time, the Buddha arrived there, and then the Buddha asked the king, "Hey king, what kind of dharma talk do you want me to give you?" And the king said, um I'm a king, right? I cannot literally sort of renounce my kingship, right? My rulership. So the teaching that I'm looking for is that if you have a one teaching that I don't have renounced my king, I don't have renounced my palace, that I don't have literally don't have to go anything, anywhere. The teaching that I can apply right here at my palace while I'm doing whatever I'm doing right now. And the Buddha realized that, oh, this student, this disciple, this disciple king is not an ordinary one. So he's also capable of listening to the Dharma, the tantric teaching. And then the Buddha, there was one the Buddha that teaching that Buddha given to him was the what do you call the Guhyasamaja Tantra, right? So the Vajrayāna, by the way, the canon, what do you call the Pali canon, right? In Pali tradition, we have Pali canon, Vinaya, Abhidhamma, and Sotanta, right? So similarly, in Tantric tradition, the Tantric canon is called Tantra, the Vajrayāna text is called Tantra. So then there is one Tantra called Guhyasamaja Tantra. And then the king, Buddha taught the king, the Guhyasamaja Tantra at that his palace. And then almost immediately the king attained the enlightenment. Almost immediately the king attained the enlightenment. Enlightenment here we are talking about the Samma Sambuddha, right? The not the Pratyeka Buddha or the Arahant, but the fully awakened one, Samma Sambuddha. King attained that one. So that type of enlightenment is what you call instant enlightenment, and so that's why the tantric. So that's how that's the kind of like historical background about how the tantric teaching is the kind of like how the tantric teaching is the kind of like considered as the Buddha Bachana or the Buddha's original word of the historical Buddha himself. And then there are many other, the historical lineage there. For example, some teachings were originated from the Buddha Vajradhara. Buddha Vajradhara, by the way, is one of the four Buddhaskaya in Vajrayāna Buddhism or Mahayana Buddhism. We have three Buddhaskaya. And the one of the Buddhaskaya is called, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and Dharmakaya. right? So the Dharmakaya we are talking about is not the Dharmakaya temple in Thailand. So we have one Dharmakaya there. So that is the what you call the nature of the Buddha, nature of phenomena. So that is also, by the way, is what we consider as Buddhakaya, right? So Buddha's body. And then there's one Buddha body, that's what you call the Buddha Vajradhara. So the Buddha Vajra, that sort of the characteristic of the Buddha Vajradhara is not for the all human being. We as an ordinary human being, or the Potojana in Pali, Pratajana in Sanskrit, we cannot see that Buddha. So we have to go to the different realms to receive the Dharma talk from that one. And one of the ancient Indian master by the name of Tilopa went to that realm and then received the teaching from that Buddha Vajradhara also. And the Buddha Vajradhara, although he's a Shakyamuni Buddha himself, but he sort of manifested into the different forms of Buddha. Okay, so that is another source of the tantric teaching. So, like I mentioned earlier, tantric teaching has different historical, background. So now I'd like to share with you guys about two sources of the tantric teaching, and then so the now the actual teaching. When it comes to the actual teaching, so in our tradition, we divided all the Buddha's teaching into two subdivisions. So one is the Sutrayana, right? Sutrayana, we are talking, Sutrayana refers to the both Theravada and what we call ordinary Mahayana, right? The common Mahayana that are being practiced in China, Japan, and those Mahayanas, right? Vietnamese Mahayana. So this is what you call the ordinary Mahayana. And then both the Theravada and that type of Mahayana combined collectively renowned as the Sutrayana, and then the Tantrayana is just Vajrayāna, right? So now here the question might be, what is the difference between Tantrayana and Sutrayana, right? And perhaps I'm going to focus more on the differences between the two, rather than so normally kind of like I'm not really going to focus on verses, right? Sutrayana versus Tantrayana. I'm not going to focus on that part. Instead, what I'm going to do is Sutrayana and Tantrayana, right? So yeah, although I'm personally pretty much into the philosophical things, to me there is no Buddhism no Buddhism can be explained from the non-philosophical aspect, which means I strongly believe that the Buddhism is a kind of part of the philosophy. So although I pretty much like to do in such way, but somehow I'm going to neglect that part, and what I'm going to do is Sutrayana and Mahayana, and the difference between Sutrayana and Mahayana. And so the one of the ancient Indian master by the name of Master Acharya Tripitaka. We know the Tripitaka, right? So the Acharya Tripitaka, or maybe Acharya Master Three Baskets, perhaps if you need to translate it into English. And then that master actually beautifully or the precisely draw a distinction between the Sutrayana and Tantrayana. So he said that. So let me recite that verse so that for my own reference, okay, so that I could remember easily. So it says, "Tenchi naya mamonta tamankawa mebatan ombonembi onchine ngagi tebara kebapa." He said, although if I loosely translate it, that's not the precise translation, but just let me do a loose translation. Although there is no difference between the Sutrayana and the Tantrayana when it comes to the wisdom, but because of the upaya or the method or the strategies, the Tantrayana is a little bit different or the sort of sublime, than the rest of the Buddha's teaching. And then why is that, right? So why is that? The question might be, why is that? So in order to answer that question, I'll just like to go back to the, that verse and then explain word by word so that we can find out the answer. So when it says the similar, although it shares the similar concept or the same teaching, exactly the same teaching, it refers to the wisdom part. So when it comes to the wisdom part, or we have two truths, right? The two true truths, Pramuti Sacha and Samuti Sacha, conventional truth and ultimate truth. When it comes to the ultimate truth, there's no difference between Sutrayana and Tantrayana, which means when it comes to the wisdom part, there's no difference between the Sutrayana and Tantrayana. Or there's no difference between Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayāna. Why is that? Because we are speaking about the truth, right? And if the truth has different, then the one, if there are two truths, right? If there are two truths or more than two truths, then that one truth has to be the real or the true, and the rest of the truth has to be, false or the non-truth. So therefore, the truth cannot be one, more than kind of like singularity. It has to be plural. Cannot be multiple characteristics. The truth has to have only one characteristic. So therefore, whether you explain the truth from Theravadan tradition, Mahayana tradition, or the Vajrayāna tradition, we have exactly one truth. That is why when it comes to the wisdom part, we have only one truth. So that's why the wisdom is same. But in order for us to attain that wisdom, there is difference between the Sutrayana and Tantrayana. So in Sutrayana, we speak about the three poisons, raga, dosa, and moha. The raga, dosa, moha are no matter what, as long as it's raga, dosa, moha, we have to get rid of them, right? We have to get rid of them, under any kind of circumstances. So by any means, we have to get rid of the raga, dosa, moha, no matter what. But the Tantra teaching says, no need to do it. Just transform the poisons. So as the Tantric, the Vajrayāna tea masters, actually they analogize to the actual poison, right? So if you know how to deal with the poison we can make we can transform the poison into medicine. You know what I'm saying, Gurninda? So transform the poison into medicine. So similarly, if you know how to deal with the three poison, then we don't have to get rid of them, but instead we can transform them into, the wisdom. Okay, so that's the difference between the Tantrayana and the Sutrayana. And the question might be, how can we transform them into the wisdom, right? So that's what you call the. So to answer that one, I have to bring the concept of the realization of true nature, right? Actually, the terminology might be a little different, but since I have also spent around 10 years in Theravadan tradition to study the Theravadan doctrine, so I feel pretty much similar, although the terminology is a little different, but in the end, or at the very core level, nothing is different there. So that transforming the poison is like when I'm experiencing the attachment, rather than like, oh, I have to get rid of my object, right? The object of the attachment, or try to be practiced like everything. For example, if I develop an attachment towards a young sort of female or something, then I don't have to. In some tradition, we have to go visualize that it's a skeleton and the paws and the sort of all the disgusting thing that we can think of, right? Imagine that, visualize that we can think of. But rather than doing that, we can just change our mentality towards that. So in Tantric tradition, what we call is that all the sentient beings, container world, and the content sentient beings are all the kind of like the embodiment of the Buddha. How can we have attached upon the embodiment of the Buddha? So that's what you call, how can we, and that's the kind of like sort of how we transform our mentality towards them. And then another different thing is that in Theravadan tradition we don't have dinner, right? So we don't have dinner. Guninda knows very well. Guninda doesn't cook, I think. Guninda doesn't have dinner. So, anyways, in Theravadan tradition we don't have dinner, right? And in Tantric tradition, the having dinner is not a it's not a problem. So it's not a problem. It's not just people. Some people think that it's only we tantric monks. They started to have dinner when the ever since the Buddhism started to flourish throughout the Himalayan region, but that's not the case at all. So indeed, even the tantric teaching was kind of been practiced in Nalanda University. We all know the Nalanda, ancient Indian Nalanda, right? Even in Nalanda University, many Buddhist monks follow the tantric practice, and then they even have dinner. In some case, they even monks consume alcohol, and then the kind of like the dormitory, how can I say the dormitory, the director or those whoever in charge of the dormitory, Nalanda dormitory, caught them and expelled them from the dormitory. But indeed, they have already attained certain level of the practice. So yeah, so these are the kind of like a minor differences. And here, the thing that we have to think about is how can the tantric monks can have dinner without kind of like breaking the party moksha rule, right? Without breaking the monastic code, sangha, sangha's rule. Is that when we have dinner, we have to visualize ourselves as the Buddha, or the what do you call the Jana Deva. Jana means the wisdom, right? Prashnya Deva. The Prashnya means the wisdom. Deva refers to the deity, so which means the wisdom deity. Wisdom deity and other deities are a little different. So the wisdom deities are the deities who already attain the Buddhahood, and they kind of like how can I say, manifested themselves as a deity, and then that's how they became a deity. And then so we have to the dinner, the dinner consumer, the dinner, those who are, that's the dinner, the whoever consumes the dinner, he or she has to visualize themselves as the Buddha. But the visualization and imagination are two different things. I'm not speaking about from the Oxford Dictionary definition, but the tantric definition. Tantric definition, visualization is something that is the reality. So if I visualize that I am the Buddha, then that is the reality in the visualization. And if I imagine that I'm a Buddha, then that's not the reality. I know that's not the reality. I know it's imagination, and imagination is not the reality. But if I visualize that myself is the Buddha, then that is the reality. And indeed, that type of practice is what you call bringing the fruition, or the making fruition, as the path, right? So we have the path and the fruition, right? So by contemplating the path we will attain the fruition. But in tantric tradition is little strange. We don't really speak about the path, but instead what do you do is that bring kind of like postpone, I mean the prepone the path, sorry, the fruition, and make it as a path, the fruition. So the fruition is the Buddhahood, right? We will bring the Buddhahood right now, and then became the Buddhahood, right, became the Buddha right now. So that's the type of practice we do. And then during that practice, and when we have dinner, then we don't really, you know we no longer take ourselves as ordinary human beings, which is made of panchaskanda, right? The panchaskanda, particularly our feeling is, sukha, dukkha, vedana, right? Not in that way. My physical body also the made of flesh, bones, stuff like that. But it's all what you call the nature of the five wisdoms and the nature of five Buddha family. So therefore, when we have dinner, we are literally making an offering to the Buddha themselves. So we no longer have the ordinary kind of perception. ordinary perception, we believe that me, Dr. Ugyen, and I have friend Gunenda as my friend, right? So that what in that kind of ordinary perception is we no longer applied in tantric practice. In tantric practice, I myself also a Buddha, Gunenda also a Buddha, Venerable Vishuddha, also a Buddha, right? But that is not just my mental projection, but that is the reality. So that type of practice, we do it. And yeah, so do I still have some time? If
Okay, you can take Bhante.
oh, okay, thank you.
The same time, just you mentioned about the vegetarian or no vegetarian. What is the question?
Actually, me vegetarian, yeah. So nowadays almost everybody became vegetarian. But back then, Bhutan and Tibet, we are, we don't really have, only in the summer we can have green vegetables, right? But winter we have no green vegetables. So all we need to rely on is, especially in Tibet, all they can rely on is just meat and dairy product, yeah. Yeah, Venerable, if you have questions, we can just kind of like have more like this, kind of discussion. So there's somebody raising hand there. If you have questions, please just ask right away. Yeah. Rather than me just delivering the lecture. And I'm sure sometimes listening to one speaker is so painful, Yeah, so if you have questions, so we can just,
Bhante,
Bhante, do you mean Buddhahood is bodhisattva, right?
Venerable, if you don't mind, can you turn on the camera so that I can, feel your presence? Oh, okay. Okay.
Bhante.
Oh, Venerable.
I would like to ask, Mingalaba, I would like to ask, do you mean Buddhahood is bodhisattva?
Right? No, Venerable. No. Bodhisattva is the path, right? Actually, the bodhisattva is as kind of like a step to attain the Buddhahood. No,
like Megan.
Sorry, Venerable.
Maggie.
Yeah, so the network, there's a little bit network issue there, I guess. So anyways, the bodhisattva is the, in order somebody to attain the Buddhahood, there are 3 stages. So the firstly, the ordinary bodhisattva, the ordinary beings stage, where one practice the bodhicitta, develop the compassion, study the wisdom, and then practice the wisdom, and that is the first stage. And then once we have done with that one, or once we have accomplished that practice, then we will jump to the next stage. That is what you call the stage of bodhisattva. So within the bodhisattva stage, there are 10 stages. The first stages to the up until the 10 stages. So which means firstly I have to engage with the first bodhisattva stage, and then the second until the 10, right? And once I'm done with the 10 bodhisattva stage, and then eventually I became the Buddha. And once I have done with my bodhisattva, kind of training or the practice. Yeah.
Thanks for your sharing.
Thank you, Venerable. Yeah. So since we have no other questions, so I'll just continue with my talk. And then if you have question, then you can just immediately raise your hand or, raise your voice so that we can, discuss. Yeah.
Continue.
Oh, thank you. And then, it says that another difference is that the tantric practice is very easy. Tantric practice is very easy, whereas the sutra practice is very difficult. In sutra practice, especially the parti moksha, right? The parti moksha is, to be very honest, not for all. The parti moksha practice is not for all. We have the 4 parachikas, 13 sangha, and so on, right? In Theravada tradition, all together, I guess around 22, isn't it? 22, the rules and regulations, kind of 222 rules and regulations are there. And in Mulasarva Astivadin tradition, we have around 252 kind of dawns there, things that we have to be kind of restraining from. So the Tantra said this type of practices are so difficult and it's so kind of torturing. And the Tantra practice, we don't have to do that. Don't have to do that.
Okay.
Just relax, relax, chill
Yeah.
out. But don't get, my dear Venerables, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not encouraging you to disrobe, or I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong, okay? I'm just merely sharing what I've, what is there in the text. So, and I sincerely hope that you won't, misunderstand me.
We understand. That's why we want to hear that you are.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the tantric teaching says these are the this all the rules are all about the verbally restraining and the physical restraining. So which means physically we don't do this and that, verbally we don't do this and that, and the tantra says the physical and verbal actions, it's kind of like the shadow of the mind. The shadow of the mind. The most important factor or the element is the mind. So as long as you can sort of tame or train your mind, the rest of the things you don't have to care about it, right? So you don't have to care about it doesn't necessarily mean that you just go ahead and do all the bad things there. It doesn't mean it means like there's nothing to be worried. I mean, there's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be like, oh, this is good, this is bad. So which means that type of practice is what you call the non-discriminative practice. Non-discriminative practice means no good, no bad. Everything is equal in terms of nature. In terms of nature, everything is equal. So there's no good deed, no bad deed. But it doesn't mean that in the conventional realm you don't do the bad deeds. It means which means you don't go ahead and harm other people. Don't do that. So which means simply you just mind on your own business. Don't care about what's going on other. If you can do it, just generate your positive mentality towards the things around you. If you cannot do it, just mind on your own business, which means avoid in the true nature. So that is the another aspect of differences, right? So where the sutra says do this and that, tantra says nothing to be worried about. Just relax, chill out. If you want to sleep, just sleep. If you don't want to wake up early in the morning and pay homage to the Buddha, then no need to do it. Just as long as you can, what you're doing, then that is it.
Easy
And
going.
yeah. And then another factor is that another thing is that it says in terms of strategies, the strategies or sort of the mechanism. And they said the Vajrayāna is so much in reach of the methods, whereas the Sutrayana is only one method, or the method is very limited. For example, you have to do this and that in the Sutra tradition. Be careful about this and that. Tantrayana, if you eat, that is your practice. If you sleep, that is your practice. If you do whatever you do, that is your practice. But I'm not saying in Theravada tradition also, we have like walking meditation. Whatever we do it, if we do it with the mindfulness, then that is okay, right? So indeed, that's pretty much similar to that practice. But the difference is that, for example, while you're asleep, so there's practice called the dream yoga. So if the practitioner practice the dream yoga, then eventually that practitioner is mindful even in the dream. then no longer the dream cannot fool that practitioner. So there is such and such type of practices there that we normally don't really mention. So so in terms of the strategies, that is also that is also the point where we draw the distinction between the Sutrayana and Tantrayana. And not to mention that Tantrayana, by the way, believe in the deity yoga, right? Deity or the God, maybe you can say, for the sake of language, you can say Tantra also believe in God, not the God like the Deva, the Tushita heavens Deva, or not such type of, Devas, but we are literally talking about the Deva that has that, kind of like, how can I say, ultimate power to, make us to attain the enlightenment. So that is indeed, although it sounds a little bit contradictory to the Buddhism, but in the if you look very carefully, it doesn't really contradict to the conventional Buddhism. So, for example, when we practice the deity yoga, first of all, we have to go through, there are many stages there. Firstly, there are two stages, the stage of creation, and the stage of the completion, actually. The stage of creation refers to where the yogi, the practitioner, he visualizes himself as the Deva. For example, in some case, like I mentioned earlier, I can visualize myself as Shakyamuni Buddha. That is also not because, of my imagination or my mental image, right? But also that is the reality, So that is the reality. I really like to do practice, spend around 3 minutes on that practice in the end of my lecture. So yeah, we will live on that. But for at the same time, I also like to give you guys a kind of theoretical sort of background. So that in that practice where we visualize ourselves as the Shakyamuni Buddha, and that is also not like before I wasn't Shakyamuni Buddha, but right now, since I visualize myself as a Shakyamuni Buddha, so now I'm Shakyamuni Buddha. Not in such way, but in a way which I am Shakyamuni Buddha ever since I was existed, ever since I was started to being, right? And then I will be remain as Shakyamuni Buddha for forever. So that type of practice is what you call the bringing the fruition as the path. So we will. So if I really want to, let's give it a shot after my lecture. Okay. So yeah. So let's keep that for the later part. And then once we are done with that, then the the stage of dissolution or the completion. So where we complete all the process, right? So how do we do that? And then now we visualize ourselves as the Shakyamuni Buddha, and then eventually the things that are surrounding us, for example, the house, the water bottle, and my mobile phone, my everything, all the things that are nearby me, kind of like emerge into myself, sort of penetrate into myself, myself in a sense, myself visualizes as the Shakyamuni Buddha. And then the Shakyamuni Buddha that I myself visualizes as Shakyamuni Buddha also eventually sort of shrink into the emptiness, and then eventually there's nothing remain there but the emptiness. And that emptiness is not like the exhausted, or it's the non-existent or nihilistic way, but rather we know that there is this phenomena there, right? It's pretty much like, again, the Vipassana practice, and then we will remain in that one for for sometimes. So that type of practice is there, so that's why in terms of strategies, the Vajrayāna, they said, possess a lot of different methods there. And then believe it or not, it says that Vajrayāna is for the very particular individual, and the Sutrayāna is for all, for the common people, right? For all, for everybody. As long as you want to practice Buddhism, you can go ahead and take refuge in Tikoljem and then practice Buddhism, right? No problem. But the Vajrayāna Buddhism, that is not enough. So you have to need a master That's what you call guru, right? The guru. And we have the guru and the mullah guru, means the root teacher. And we can have different teachers, but we will have only one root teacher or the man teacher, right? My fundamental master. And the reason why we need one fundamental master and why do we call that master as a root master is because that master is the one who introduced us to the root, right? To the root. What is that root? And the root here is our mind. That why do we call our mind as the root is because our mind is the root of the samsara. Our mind is the root of the liberation. Our mind is the root of me, you, and everybody, everything and everybody, right? So if there is no me, then how can there be Venerable Gunanda and everybody there, right? So that's all because of me, the perception of me. And the perception on of me eventually, although there are philosophically different perspectives are there, but most of the time if you ask me who are you, I would say Dr. Ugyen. What is Dr. Ugyen? I would probably say that my mind is the Dr. Ugyen, right? Something like that. So that means I literally refer to me, my mind as me. So that's why my mind is the root of all. The reason why I call my master as the root master is because he introduced me to my own nature of my true nature of my mind. What is that? That is the what do you call no arising, no ceasing, no nothing, peaceful one, right? So my master will guide me to that one. So that's why we call that master as a root master. And then we should never ever even have the one doubt like, oh, we have to take our master as a true Buddha, living Buddha, not like he's my master, but he's just a human being. He's my master, but he's like, somebody from there and that. But I have to take him the actual Buddha rather than an ordinary human being. So that's how we have to treat our master. And then the master also has play a lot of, and then the tantric teaching says, the biggest sin or the heaviest bad karma is having kind of doubt into your master whether he's a real Buddha or not, which means we should not even have a doubt onto our master that whether he's a Buddha or not. So that is the type of devotion that we have to have for our master. Right. So the reason why we have to do that is I already shared that because he guides us to our own nature of mind. And then the master will give us the three kind of teachings. The firstly, the empowerment, and then the oral transmission, and then the instruction. Right. In tantric teaching, we cannot read directly. For example, I got one tantric book like Guhyasamaja Tantra. Oh, I got the book, so now I'm going to read that book. We cannot do that. So we have to have the permission. Without permission, and there's a whole lot of disadvantages are there. Like, for example, if I read the tantric teaching without the proper master's, kind of approval or the instruction, then it is, believe it or not, it is said that the tantric teachings were protected by the dakinis or the dharmapalas. So if you unskillfully engage with the tantric teaching, those dharmapalas and dakinis will literally, take you down, which means take your life, right? So that means, put it in ordinary language, that means they will kill us and they will, cause harm to us like diseases and all of that. They will literally bring us all the bad thing that you can imagine of. So these are the disadvantages for this life. For the next life or the ultimate thing, it literally kind of extend the distance between me and my ultimate realization. It literally expand the gap between me and my realization. So which means I will take a long time to attain that realization. So, but if I go through the proper, follow the proper procedure, then the Tantra teaching within this moment, right? When I snap like this, there's one tick sound, right? Within this sound, I can attain the Buddhahood. So if I follow the proper, the guidance. So that's why the tantric teaching is the easiest one, they said. All right. So yeah, so that's that's pretty much it, and I'm going to stop right here, and then I like to take some questions, and the question could be regarding anything like the tantric culture, even the Bhutanese culture, how we Bhutanese people eat there, why are we happy, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Just now
yeah.
you said empowerment and transmission. Without empowerment from someone, so we cannot study that tantra.
True, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah, so that's like I mentioned, yeah. So the tantra is tantra actually is it's a secret practice actually. Back in the days, especially in ancient India, nobody knows whether you are tantric practitioner or not. You can be a monk, but at the same time, you can also be a tantric practitioner. And the only you and your that matter, the matter of your practice is only between you and your master. If I am master of somebody, I know that he's my student and he's practiced tantra, and my student knows that me. But normally, sometimes the tantric masters are can be found anywhere, brothel, bar, some of them are the butcher, some of them are bartenders, some of them are fishermen. Tantric masters are really, really weird actually. One of the tantric master by the name of Tilopa from Bangladesh, modern day. So he is a fisherman, but he already attained the Buddhahood. It's quite weird. And then the Birhopa, he used to be a monk at Nalanda University and well-learned scholar, Nalanda University. And later when he practiced Tantra, and then once was he, what you call the Vajra feast, right? The dinner, by the way, is called Vajra feast. Vajrayāna dinner, right? So the Vajra feast or the Gana Chakra. And once he organized Gana Chakra in his room, and then at that time, he invited the Dakini, the invisible beings, to our ordinary eyes, right? And he invited all the Dakinis, and they're in his room, and female Dakinis, right? And then they were having alcohol and female, and all of together they're in their monks' kuti, and the dormitory sort of director found out, and then they dispelled him from the Nalanda. And then later he almost entire life he spent in the bar and giving the dharma talk in the bar and literally living there in the bar. So the tantric masters are very weird practice, but at the same time their practice is so profound, and it's their realization is so
So Bhante, so do you have some criteria to assess whether he is a real Buddha or not, real Sakyamuni or not?
Oh yeah, true, Venerable, true. So that is indeed that's a very interesting question, and something that we really have to be careful about, because otherwise, in the Western, especially in the Western, right, Western countries, the Westerners are some. Is there anybody from the Western country in our group today? I believe no. Okay, none of us are the white, white people. So, anyways, they are like, it's a little bit weird, right? So they really into tantric practice, and once they got some tantric teaching, and they literally think they are Buddha, and they go to the public and mislead the public. So if you're not careful, then we tend to end up with such master. But the question is, how can we identify whether this person is the real Buddha or not? Is that before we take him or her as my master, I have to analyze her in the tantric teaching. We have to analyze, the teacher has to analyze the student for 3 years. A student has to analyze the teacher for 3 years, whether this teacher or the student can be my teacher or student qualified to be my teacher or student. So after spending total 6 years, I think there is, almost we know, what kind of person that we are dealing with. Yeah. And then the most importantly, we have to think about their, wisdom. And indeed, sometimes if we are very serious about the tantric practice, then so the in pure vision or even in the dream that normally in the Sutrayana we said the dream is dream is an illusion, right? Dream has nothing to do with the actual life, or life. But in tantric teaching, sometimes the dream we interpret, we interpret as the kind of like the the prediction or the prophecy for the future, what will happen. So sometimes in our dream, in our dream, random dude come to my dream and then give me the teaching, and then in the real life, if I go and talk to him, same thing will happen. So that's why it's kind of easy also. Yeah. Isn't that getting weird and weirder and weirder?
This means before you.
Okay, Venerable. Yeah, please continue.
As I understand, am I wrong or not? You just before you accept the teacher, accept the student, the pupil as his real pupil. A pupil also before he accept his own master. There is a one like a period, provisional period to accept, to check, or to examine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exam each other.
So
I can
in that period. In that period, the pupil cannot practice the tantra.
And they don't practice tantra, but they do learn some, basic teachings. Like they can have some philosophical debate, Buddhist philosophical debate, right? So they can study the sutra. For example, they can speak about all the sutras. By the way, in order for me to be a tantric practitioner, I have to study Theravada, I have to study Mahayana. So without these two steps, I cannot directly jump upon the tantric practice. So that's impossible. So meanwhile, the teacher can teach this kind of teachings to the students, and then based on his skills, right? So the more we deal with the people, the more we get to know who they are. Yeah. So that's why, it's almost impossible for the if you follow the
outsider.
The actual procedure properly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Bhante. There's one question in the chat box.
One of the participants asked in the chat box.
Oh, okay. I totally ignored that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, please check it. Yeah.
All right. In your practice, how do you differentiate between visualization or imagination? Oh, yeah. That's a very good question. Indeed, it's something that you have to be very careful about, that drawing the distinction between the imagination and the visualization. So in the Oxford English dictionaries, perhaps these two have the almost identical meaning, I guess. Pretty much share the same meaning, imagination and visualization. But in the tantric, the context, we have totally two different things. For example, right now I'm imagining, right? I'm in Myanmar, Yangon, and I'm talking to my friends there in Yangon and doing such and such things. I'm literally imagining, right? And then I know that it's not real, and I don't take it as a reality. But the visualization is different. The visualization, for example, right now I visualize that I'm a Buddha, and then that is the reality. Believe it or not, that is the reality. And then the tantric teaching says, so that's how we train our mind to be the Buddha. Even once we attain the Buddhahood, that thing is not really, that kind of experience is not really different than this experience. But of course, at the very first time, I'm not going to get very good at that. But today, tomorrow, and after 1 year, 2 years, and eventually I totally became the, I can totally master the state of the Buddhahood. So that's the, that's the visualization. That's the power of visualization. So in short, the imagination is not reality. The visualization is reality. So that's the answer. Okay, Venerable or gentleman or lady there, Theo Han, I think somebody raised their hand. So, oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
Very interesting to listen to. I have so many puzzling in my mind comparing the Theravada. My question, the first question is I want to ask about the Pariya and Paripatti. So when they practice the mindfulness exercises, what is the goal? I mean, the final goal, the highest value. For example, we are to be the Ariya for the mundane level, and the highest is the Arahata. So what is the goal, the highest? Because you said that your teacher is a Buddhahood. Or how do you, standardize? Do we have the exam system? I mean, Priya and Paripat. So let me ask you, when you have the learning, the scripture, textual, do they have like the Dhammasriya, Ngeda, Jida, like how do you levelize with the exam system and the meditation? So what is your highest expectation or for the highest value, the goal? I would like to know about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I forgot to cover that one. I'm glad that you asked about it. Yeah, so that in monastic, okay, so I'll eventually come back to your question. So in monastic system, Bhutan monastic system, firstly we have to go through the the academic studies, right? And we have to start with academic studies for 15 years continuously. For 15 years, that's very intensive philosophical studies. So that's why we almost all the time Buddhism is all about philosophy. Yes. We have to go through the 15 altogether almost 20 years, just monastic studies only. At that, monastic studies. So every time you have to go through all the exams. If you are failed, then you have to repeat it in the next year. Pretty much like the common, the educational system. And once you're done with your academic studies for 20 years, and then you are good to go to the meditation retreat. So for the meditation retreat, and we have to go to the 3 years meditation retreat. During the 3 years meditation retreat, we have to totally isolate ourselves from the outside world. We have to totally cut off the outside world, and we cannot. The meditation cannot be. Of course, meditation can be done there, but the meditation retreat cannot be done in the cities. So there is one designated location, like in such deep, the wilderness, where only few people are accessed, and then we have to go there. We have to lock down there, and there will be one meditation master, instructor there, and he will lock us there, and then he will prepare the food and send the food from the from outside of the boundary. So within that area, 3 years, we are totally cut off our outside world. No mobile phone, nobody, no talking to the outside world, except if you sick, and if you have to see the doctor very urgently, then accept such conditions, such cases, then we have to totally isolate ourselves from the outside world. And then and then the Vajrayāna, by the way, is a part of Mahayana. And then the highest goal to attain in Vajrayāna is to attain the Buddhahood. But in the according to the Mahayana Sutras, the sutra says attaining Buddhahood takes 3 kalpas, or the 3 numberless of eons. 3 kalpas or the 3 numberless of eons. But the Vajrayāna, it says within this one, like I mentioned, right? Within this one can attain the Buddhahood. That's why the Vajrayāna takes only short period of time. That type of realization is called what you call the instant realization. And then those with the less capability or the less intellect, they can attain the Buddhahood within 16 lifetime rather than kalpas and karpas. Okay, did I answer your question?
somewhat. May I add some more? And do they have the Satipatthana Sutta or the Vipassana meditation in your practice?
Oh, yeah. And then the Vipassana meditation, by the way, that all practice should be included within Vipassana or Samadhi. So, the time quality meditation, and the, analytical inside meditation, basically. So when it comes to that, there is no different, pretty much similar to the Theravadan tradition, although we use the different term, yeah. Yeah.
So
And then when we
any
meditate, we should not have the expectation like we should not set the goal like I'm going to attain Buddhahood, therefore I'm meditating. We don't do that. If you do that, so then you are literally destroying my own path. As you know that I'm pretty sure you have meditated a lot, since the memory is also a kind of source of meditation practice.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any, geographically in the world, which part of the countries are following your what do you call
Vajrayāna,
Vajrayāna?
yeah. So now only Bhutan. Country, if you go by the country, then only Bhutan is the Vajrayāna country, and only Bhutan has the Vajrayāna king. Only Bhutan has the Mahayana king, I guess.
How about the Dalai Lama?
Dalai Lama is
school say?
Dalai Lama is Tibet, and Tibet by basically part of China, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you so much.
Tibetan is okay.
I mean, the Vajrayāna?
Sorry, Venerable, I think you're
Zen Buddhism.
Oh,
I don't
So-
know.
no, Dalai Lama is also the Vajrayāna practitioner actually, but the Zen Buddhism and Vajrayāna practice no different, because the Zen Buddhism speak about Zen Buddhism is mainly based on the Nagarjuna's teaching, and Nagarjuna's teaching is also one of the fundamental teachings in my tradition also, the Vajrayāna tradition also, and Gunendra knows very well, I guess.
Yeah. Dalai Lama is very good. How you do?
4 years through journey, we have been studying a lot, the different kinds of subjects.
Yeah. So maybe already gone, right? Studied, learned, and gone. Okay. So somebody is raising their hand. Knowledge Dana. Somebody is raising their hand. If you have question, please.
Knowledge Dana. Yeah. Question.
Yeah. Knowledge Dana, if you are there, and you may turn on your camera. And,
yes, for more. Yes, for more. Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Pomo. Yeah, it's really interesting, eye-opening. You brought in a lot of fresh air when you started talking about you guys learning and that kind of stuff. Right. Okay. Yeah, Pomo, my question is that when one is asking visualization, reality, that kind of stuff, how do visualize Buddha and you started having dinner? Or what is the link? I think I missed something there.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I also believe that I didn't ask that question, I didn't cover that topic properly. So normally the visualization is not just something, certain period of something that we can practice from such and such time to such and such time. Actually, that type of practice is something that we have to keep it,
Because
that
I'm
we have to
afraid a lot of branch of Buddhism is too much.
I think your network connection is not very stable. So yeah. Anyways, I got your.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Very well, Pomo. Yeah, I can
All
hear
right,
you very well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Then yeah. So so the visualization is not like right now I visualize. After sometimes I will, come back to normal life. Not like it doesn't work in that way. So the visualization practice is actually, supposedly we have to practice throughout the day, throughout the night, 24/7, 360 days a year, which basically means always, all the time we have to maintain that visualization. So normally, indeed, in our tradition, we should not take all the sentient beings as the sentient beings. We should not take that, whatever we see, whatever we heard, whatever we experience, we should not take that as an ordinary thing. Whatever we experience, we have to take that as a pure, 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 pacified, and all the positive qualities. Okay, why is that? Because this is all the kind of the projections of the, the true nature, the projection of the true nature of, the wisdom, right? Because of the wisdom is there, so we are experiencing such and such experiences. So in order to avoid, in order to get rid of our impure vision, in order to get rid of our impure vision and implement our pure vision, what you have to do is then visualize. And then if I visualize myself as a Shakyamuni Buddha or whatever the Buddha you believe in, then it really brings you some kind of, different, totally different. It gives you totally different, experience actually. And then the dinner, right? The dinner. So the dinner is basically for the body, because in the Himalayan region, unlike the tropical, country, that if we don't take dinner, then that we will be, freeze to death actually. So the dinner plays a very, the crucial role for the practitioners in the glacier or the snow, in the snow, right? So that's why the dinner, we have to have dinner. And we have to have dinner, but rather than having dinner as the ordinary food, we can make it as the, the, what do you call, the Vajra feast or the Gana Chakra. And the Gana Chakra, again, that when we have taste that food, we should not taste the food like the food tastes good, food tastes better, food tastes such and such, right? So indeed, if you look at from the, the core, how can I say, the true nature of the phenomena, there's no good and bad. The nature of the good is the nature of the bad, right? And the nature of having dinner is the nature of not having dinner. So normally there's nothing can be separate from one another when it comes to the true nature. So that's why I'm saying that visualization is important. And then if I try to practice such practice, if I try to maintain such practice, me as an ordinary being, then it's a little difficult. But if I switch myself or transform myself as a Buddha, then I have changed all my everything. My feeling is changed, my perception is changed, my formation is changed, my mind is changed. My mind no longer is going to be like, I'm this, I want this, I like this, I don't like that person, right? My mind is the Buddha's wisdom. The Buddha's wisdom doesn't have like or dislike or hate or, doesn't hate something, some part I like it, some other part I don't like. Buddha's wisdom doesn't have that one. Buddha's wisdom is always compassion, always wisdom, right? So Buddha's mind, I mean. So if you do that, then we are just effortlessly became Buddha. So that's what I mean by that. And I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, you did very well, Pamo. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
you. I'm glad that you got my point.
What is your selling point, Pamo, when you talk about wisdom? Because the other school of Buddhism, they're talking about social, engaging, loving kindness, that kind of stuff. In your school of Buddhism, what's your selling point? Your stress? Is that wisdom?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So that's true. That's true. Actually, in the Buddhist, that's not just the Buddhist different Buddhist schools believe, but it's indeed mentioned in the Buddhist text. Buddhist text sometimes refer to the wisdom in Buddhist text. Sometimes wisdom refers to that textual analytical knowledge also can be referred to as a wisdom. Sometimes the wisdom can be referred to as human intellect, and different. Sometimes wisdom refers to as the vipassana practice, right? But right now, when I am speaking about the compassion and the wisdom, so in this context, the wisdom refers to the. So let me put it in this way. I practice meditation right now, and then I realize everything is emptiness. Everything in its core nature, there's nothing to be liked or nothing to be disliked. Everything is clear, everything is pure. So that there's one realization or the awareness there, right? There is such awareness is there. So that type of awareness is what I call wisdom in this context. And that is indeed the wisdom when you are talking about the compassion and wisdom. Yeah.
Thank you for more. Excellent. Thank you for more.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So still have the questions are in the chat box. So more questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gunanda, if there's a question, then please.
Sorry. Yeah. So what are the qualities of the one who attained the Buddhahood?
What are the qualities of the one who attained Buddha? Yeah, that's very interesting question, and indeed, I think, probably 1 year to speak about that. So, anyways, let me try to make it short. Actually, all the Buddha's qualities, although there are around characteristically there are around 100 and some 100 and so kind of qualities are there, but we can basically make it short into the two kind of aspect, the aspect of infinite compassion and the infinite wisdom are the Buddha's quality actually. So we can put it in this way. So there are different other qualities. For example, the Buddha's has a taller physical form, right? Buddha's height is way, taller than the ordinary beings. And Buddha's skin, the Buddha's, the food is, Buddha's food got the will. It's all mentioned in the Prajna Paramita Sutra. So that's what you call the, the 80 and 30 two qualities of the Buddha. So, but let's not get into that. So basically the Buddha's quality refers to the infinite compassion and infinite wisdom. For us, our compassion and wisdoms are very limited, right? But for the Buddha, it's limitless. So yeah, let's put it in this way. And then let's move to the second question, right? We have another question there, right?
Yes. So I would like to know your Tibetan Buddhism's contribute Lotus Sutta.
Contribute Lotus Sutta. Your Tibetan Buddhism contribute. So yes, actually, the Lotus Sutra, that's what you call the Pimi Do or the Dodepima Karpo. So that sutra actually is one of normally the Vajrayāna Buddhist sutra actually. Normally it's not the Vajrayāna Buddhist, the uncommon text. It's a common text with Mahayana tradition. So the Lotus Sutra is also one of the major sutra in Vajrayāna tradition also. But that's not the Tantra teaching. Yeah. So anyways, I'm from Bhutan and I don't follow Tibetan Buddhism. I follow Bhutanese Buddhism. And yeah, so for your kind information.
So is there anyone who would like to know some opinion to ask or some questions? So whatever you...
Gunenda, so since there's no second question, so let's practice for 3 minutes. So I will tell you how the visualization tastes like.
Sorry, so question is from the Tshering again.
Okay, Tshering, can I get back to after the practice? So now let's practice for 3 minutes, or maybe even 1 minute, or even 1 minute, or 3
minutes.
I will
okay,
not. I will not make sure that we do not exceed from 3 minutes. Yeah. So now so after that I will come back to Taihan. So now the visualization practice. So the visualization practice, normally it doesn't really require closing our eyes. Okay,
Mm.
so that we have two, way of practice. In some tradition, we close our eyes. In other tradition, we don't close our eyes. But in Tantric tradition, particularly in Bhutanese Tantric tradition, we don't close our eyes. Why is that? Because when you open as a beginner, of course, it will be better if you close our eyes. But once we attain certain level of meditation experience, then we don't really have to close our eyes. If we open our eyes, then we feel very clear. We feel very realistic because we are dealing with the things that we are seeing, things that we are hearing, right? So that's why we literally encourage people to open our eyes. But for the visualization, I think it's okay to close our eyes. Okay, if you want to close your eyes, okay, but for the visualization right now, sorry, for the visualization right now, I want you guys to open your eyes. So let's see how it stays like. Okay, and open your eyes, and you can just stretch your back a little bit, not too much, right? Not too much like this, not too much bending, because we need the good blood circulation, oxygen circulation. So yeah, so just like this, and then stretch your back spine like this, not too much, not too bending, like this, and then sit in the any posture that you find comfortable, right? So yeah, if you want to sit on chair, that's okay. If you want to sit on the full lotus posture, that is also okay, like this. And then firstly, visualize yourself as the Buddha. Believe, okay, let's put it in this way. Believe yourself is the Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha, how does he look like? His skin is like gold, right? Gold, with the golden skin, with such and such eyes. And the most importantly, your mind and your feeling are all the Buddha's wisdom. Right? So when it comes to the Buddha's wisdom, we don't think about the past. We don't plan for the future. We literally avoid with the present consciousness. That is present consciousness. That is also free from all the conceptual thought. Conceptual thought here refers to yes, no, this, that. Totally be free. That's the Buddha's wisdom. What do you call Buddha's wisdom? No need to change our perception. Feel good, feel bad. That's not the nature of the feeling, right? The feeling also the Buddha's feeling. Wisdom also, mind also the Buddha's wisdom. And that's what you call non-judgmental, right? But do not go like as if you are in a coma. We have to have the mindfulness or awareness there. Without awareness, that's not the visualization. Okay, thank you everybody so much. Yeah, so now let's come back to the, if you have some time, so how many minutes left, Venerable Gunenda?
30 minutes.
Around about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, still got some, yeah. Okay, we have plenty of time then. Yeah, let's take some questions then, yeah. Taehan, please.
If you're not clear anymore, yeah.
Me again. I would like to ask about the female, like nun or bhikkhuni. Do they have it, or you have the male and female discrimination, or female are allowed in your sasana? Thank you.
Yeah, so in our tradition also, basically we have two tradition, right? So that the what do you call the yogi tradition, the tantric practitioner tradition, and the bhikkhu tradition. So the bhikkhu tradition, by the way, is called the holder of three practices. What do you call the holder of three practices? They will hold the Patimoksha Shila. They will hold the Bodhisattva precept. And they will also hold the tantric practice. So that's why we call them as the holder of three vows. So we have that monk who practice all three traditions. And then there's this practitioner who just practice only the tantra. Right, and then the Patimoksha tradition, we have both the Sangha, male Sangha community and female Sangha community. Yeah, and the Bhikshuni, female also can, ordain as a fully ordained Bhikshuni. So in Theravadan tradition, we have somehow lost that lineage, and then we no longer is continue right now. But in Mulasarva Astivadan tradition, that the tradition that is still being practiced in Himalayan region like Tibet, Bhutan, and other Himalayan region. So we have female Sangha community here. We still have that one. If you want to become Bhikkhuni, please reach out to me. I will connect you to one of great master in Bhutan. So that you can dress up like me.
She can she
bhikkhuni
be
or nun?
Tantra
Sorry.
practitioner?
I'm wondering
Can she be
bhikkhuni.
Tantrayana practitioner?
Yeah, the Bhikkhuni and Bhikshuni same. Yeah, Bhikkhuni. Yeah.
There is no nun. They call it bhikkhuni. So how
Actually-
many monks need to be ordained to be the bhikkhuni?
So that is the Vinaya rules, right? So the Vinaya in the central region where the Sangha community, where the man Sangha community is there, you have to have 10 monks. And then the other rural area,
10 monks?
and then 10 monks, 10 Sangha members. And then the rural area, we have to have 5, minimum 5.
Say with the Theravada, right?
Yeah.
Similar to Theravadan tradition, right?
You.
Yes.
The Patimokkha, basically you meet the Patimokkha.
Yeah, right. And then for the Tantra tradition, you just need only your teacher. You don't need anybody. Yeah.
So Tantrayana practitioner, they don't need to obey any rule, or like.
The Tantra tradition is again very controversial, right? Controversial. So for the beginner in Tantra tradition, we need to follow the rules and regulations. There are many rules and regulations. So we have 4 Tantra practice, right? Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Anuttara Tantra, Anuttara Yoga Tantra. Yoga Tantra and Anuttara Yoga Tantra. 4 steps are there. For the beginner, we have to follow a lot of rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. A lot of do's and don'ts are there. Second level also there. Third lace, second lace, third lace, the fourth stage, totally free from the rules and regulations. we no longer care about the rules and regulations, but it doesn't mean that.
Who decide the level?
We know, right? We can we know based on our own. It's not, for example, it's not outside. Outside. It's not like the academy. Academy kind of standard.
Like
it's
inside,
spiritual.
really.
Yeah, we know that, right? We know what kind of practice I'm talking about, and nobody knowingly try to jump into the the hole of the head. So.
Okay, maybe.
So as a moderator, I have a question, Arjun. So how can I know about the 3 kinds of or like a practitioners you have mentioned? So if I'm not wrong, like a Patimoksha practitioner or some others like tantric practitioners. So I'm clear about that kind of a Patimoksha according to the Vinaya. But sometimes I you said like a controversial issue about these tantric or practitioners. So in the public area, so how can I know about the who is from the what kind of practitioners?
Yeah, good question. So actually, the tantric practice, the tantra, by the way, sometimes sometimes we also call it that vehicle as a secret vehicle. So which means there is no identity, kind of like the identity, or physical identity there, like, oh, because of his robe, that indicates he's practicing such and such. So it's like very kind of like almost nobody knows what you're practicing. So that's why there once was a story that that student was very famous, master, and then his master was kind of one who look after the pigs, right? His master, tantric master, was one who look after the pig. Shall I say the pig herder or something like that, pig shepherd or something like that. So that guy, and that when the student was giving the Dharma talk in the public, there was a whole bunch of people are there, a lot of people are there. And he saw that his master was, looking after his pig and wandering in the field. And the student ignored the master and pretend as if he didn't see his master there. And then when he met his master in private, and he go there and confess them, talk to the master that, oh, my master, and bow down and all the things that he has to be done, right, as a student. And the master said, why do you do that? Well, you are giving the Dharma talk. You didn't give me a damn, right? You didn't give a, you didn't literally care about me. And the master said, the student lied to the master, master, I didn't see you. And then at that point, the student's eyes literally dropped on the ground, fall on the ground because of the lying. So tantra is such power, that much powerful. Yeah. So that means that means so that nobody knows whether you are practicing tantra or not. So yeah.
Like a powerful message.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. And then I'm curious to know about apart from your explanation, but I would like to know about the Rinpoche. Yeah. So could you explain a little bit about the Rinpoche?
Actually, the Rinpoche or the reincarnation, you guys have heard of that, I guess. The reincarnation of this and that Lama.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have the very habit of putting the small child kid on such a big golden throne and worship to the kid. That's a Himalayan culture, to be very honest. It's not the actual Buddhism. And in fact, I'm not really a big fan of such culture, the Rinpoche culture. I don't really like that kind of culture, but somehow that is, what we are practicing in Bhutan and Tibet and Ladakh. So that the significance about the Tulku or the Rinpoche is that these guys remember they can recall their previous life, For example, when I was in my previous life, I was this and that. I did such and such activities there, right? And then because of that, they don't even have to really pay much attention to learning. They can learn as they're playing, as a kids while they're playing with their friends. They can learn. They can memorize very easily, which means they can literally recall whatever they have memorized in their previous life. So some of the kids, while they are able to study to speak, they can literally utter the sutras and the tantra teaching. So that's why they're a little bit different than us, and people worship them. But for me, I don't really care about such culture. Yeah. So yeah, so I think you guys can also share some of your, the similarities and dissimilarities there.
How about the Jatiksara Jnana, according to the Theravada perspective? I mean, some of our CROs could you share about and then some relatively compare between this true perspective about the Rinpoche and Jatisara Jnana, because they can be like a reincarnation and they can memorize the previous lives. Anyone who can discuss about those topics, those issues?
Reincarnation, Bhava Nivasana Sati Jnana. We believe that reincarnation, Bhava Nivasana Sati Jnana, also the kinds of mental power. When meditator get the certain level or the spirit development, they can attain the one of the three important abhignana. We have the Bhava Nivasana Sati Abhignana, who can recall his past life, Devasako Abhignana, who can see the object far and near. Asokaya Jnana, the wisdom can just try defilement. So these three important wisdom, three kinds of wisdom in Theravada. Key fata, key wisdom. The reincarnation is maybe based on the personality, individual, some recall his past life. Most of that's not totally the same with the Bhava Nivasana Sati Abhignana. That's my opinion, Bhante.
Thank you, Venerable. Yeah.
How about the other?
Yes, okay. So in our tradition, as you know, yes, we believe
The
the
Dalai
reborn.
Lama,
Yeah.
Dalai Lama, they had to no. Okay. Venerable. Okay. Dalai Lama, to be Dalai Lama, right? They had to had
kind of
the guy who
reincarnation.
exactly know
Who
his
himself, belief.
Or
as I heard about from the news, he will reincarnate in the future. So where he will be in born in the world. Yeah. So the people who have to find out the place where he will be born again in the future. So a kind of like reincarnation. Yeah. So now he is a 4th Dalai Lama. So who will be the next for the 15th Dalai Lama? Yeah. The generation by generations. And then how can they pass or hand over this kind of throne or not? Yeah. Throne from 14th Dalai Lama to the 15th Dalai Lama. So, as I confused that.
Yeah. So that is actually, a little bit, Dalai Lama Institute is a little bit involved with the political thing also. So it's more of a politics than the religion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Venerable has something to comment.
Yes. Yes, because you are talking about the Bhava Nivasana or Satitra Jnana. So in Myanmar, there are many people who believe in those states. But no, it's just normal, but not just like a Rinpoche or something like someone like them. Because I personally know someone, he is my friend. When he was very young, he remembered his past life. He can speak exactly where his things put in his old house. Yeah, so it's quite. I mean, I believe in those state mindset. Yeah, but and about it's about Buddhist tradition. A long time ago, I had one boy. He is from the Lower Myanmar, I guess, and he can talk Dhamma, or even though he was very young, and they think he is he was some kind of reborn. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That.
Yeah, Venerable. So it's pity that he was born in Myanmar. If he was born in Bhutan or Tibet, then he was already
Dalai
he was
Lama.
already.
It's possible, yes, it's possible because according to our Theravada tradition, we have some very interesting story from the Dhammapada, and then he remember even I think two or three previous life, right? So it's quite simple because he remember because his anger is very strong, right? So his anger is very strong. So after 1 year, one life and another, he became in the same arc in a similar situation. Yeah. And this man is very popular, but this one in Pomaji and in the same Myanmar people know this one, right? Because it's the story of that one. Yeah. So I think he remember two previous life. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much, Venerable. Yeah, I almost never heard of my Theravadan friends speaking about reincarnation. Today, Venerable said it. Yeah. Gunenda, why
Really?
didn't you tell me that?
It's quite common in Myanmar. We all believe, we Theravada Buddhist people believe in kinds of reincarnation. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's quite common.
Thank you, Venerable. Yeah,
Great. Sometimes
so
it depends
nice.
on the person. Some Buddhist monks who are totally encouraged to be devoted in Buddha Sasana. So, but
Yeah.
born again to continue for is their duties and responsibility as a Buddhist monk. So this is a kind of or another story. Yeah, some of the well-known Seattles from Myanmar. Yeah, but at the end of the almost die. I'm not sure. He just would like to change or not.
So Gunenda, I think Venerable Pandicha got something to share, I guess. Venerable, please, you may go for that. Yeah.
Pandita or Pandita from sorry.
Thank you, Wendy, for your sharing knowledge. I think your presentation make me impressed. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Venerable. Yes.
So, in Myanmar or others, Thailand or Sri Lanka, mostly in Myanmar, according to Buddhist calendar or Burmese calendar, we have once a week sharing merit or listen to my talk once a week. This is our kasha in Theravada. So in your kasha, is there some tradition in your kasha giving the mud talk according to the calendar or something connection? Please let me know.
Oh, yeah, sure, Venerable. Thank you very much for the question, actually. So so the normal ordinary months in our tradition, or that according to our Vinaya, we divided 1 month, 30 days into 2 months. So the 30 days into 2 months, and each month consists of 15 days. And the first 15 days, what do you call the what do you call that? How can I say that? The full moon day, right? Yeah, the full moon day. And that full moon day is also one of the considered holiest day, holiest day, and where we go to the temple and do the spiritual thing there. And then again another 15 day, the next 15 day is also the one of the holiest days. So which means in 1 month, every month we will have 2 days where the devotees or the monks, they kind of gather together and do the spiritual activities, religious activities there. And then some other
right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So some in other months, for example, the day Vesak, right? The day Vesak, or other months where sometimes the Buddha, we also celebrate the day where the Buddha descended from the Tusheta heaven, right? Buddha went to the Tusheta heaven to preach the Dharma to the devas there, and he returned, descended from that heaven. And then that day also we celebrate, and we celebrate, and we kind of, celebrate through the, doing some spiritual, the religious activities. And there are many kind of, basically twice in a month for sure. And then sometimes 3 times or 4 times in a month also possible, yeah. But unlike
Thank you,
Thailand
Bhante.
and other country, like we don't have the Buddhist day, One Phra. In Thailand, what do you call is One Phra?
One pra, yes.
Yeah.
Uposatha.
Yeah. Oh, Ashin Sachi, Sasena,
Sajasena.
maybe.
Sajasena.
Okay, Venerable.
Yes.
Oh.
Very well. Very well. Good evening. Firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for your interesting statement. And you mentioned about Sautrayana and the Tantrayana, and I was truly impressed. I was truly impressed in one of your statement of transforming Ranga Dosa Moha. For the Sautrayana, we don't need to get rid of the Raga Dosa Moha. We have to get rid of the Raga Dosa Moha, right? And for the Tantrayana, we don't have to get rid of the Raga Dosa Moha. Instead, we have to transform. So could you please explain more about transforming this, and for example, Raga Dosa Moha arise in me, and how to transform this? And could you please explain more about this with the best example as much as possible, please? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Venerable, thank you so much. At the same time, feel a little bit pressure also because I don't win the, when somebody is expecting want me to explain in the best way possible, it really makes me very nervous and literally shut my brain down. But anyways, actually, we have Tantra teaching, right? The Tantric teaching is we have to, the basic sort of the principle of Tantric teaching is, how can I say, the transformation or the self, the transformation through realization, right? So it's pretty much like that, we don't have, for example, if I have one bottle of poison here, I don't have to get rid of that one. So instead, I can make use of that in, another way, like making it as, the medicine for something. So similarly, normally, when we go through the poison, for example, the attachment, right? For example, the attachment towards any object, any material object there, in some case, it could be human being, it could be the gold, silver, whatever we have. But in the end, how we deal with those kind of objects are all our mind, right? So it's pretty much like the things are more subjective than the objective. So that means that things does not give us the, the material object doesn't give us the, the raga dosa moha, that kind of feeling, the emotions. So what we are doing is the emotion is kind of that emerge from within our mind, emerge from kind of like, how can I say, sort of pops out from our mind, right? From the nature of our mind. And then the true nature of the mind is like the sky, right? And the sky, although the sky is clear and it has not, very intrinsic nature, but somehow we see the cloud and dust there, but that's not the true nature of the mind. It appears there. And if once the cause and condition of the cloud is exhausted, the cloud will slowly disappear. Similarly, the raga, dosa, and moha that appears to our mind, I'm not really sure whether I'm, getting on the point that you want me to explain. So, anyways, so in that one, so It's basically what I said, the visualization, right? So through the visualization, it is the visualization. Now what I've shared is very basic, In the detailed practice of visualization, all the panchaskandha has every single one of the panchaskandhas are the embodiment of the Buddha. We have 5 Buddhas family, right? The central Buddha, Eastern Buddha, Western Buddha, Northern Buddha, and Southern Buddha, right? So there are 5 Buddhas family there. And then my Panchaskanda, my physical body is embodiment of such Buddha. My Vedana is embodiment of such Buddha. My mental formation, by the way, Raga Dosa Moha is the mental formation, right? Sanya Sankara, right? So this kind of things. So they are also the embodiment of the Buddha, rather than thinking that, oh, they are, something to be get rid of, but instead we can take them as the true nature of Buddha. By realizing that, then we don't really have to get rid of them. Okay, so let's put it in this way, Venerable. So you are very familiar with the Vipassana meditation, right? So when we meditate by Vipassana, so sometimes when we are very angry, not very angry, let's put it in this way. So when we meditate, we cannot get angry for sure. But when we are meditating, sometimes attachments slowly arise in our mind. Attachments slowly arise in our mind without noticing. All of a sudden, we are like, oh, I want this, I love this and that. All of us, while we are meditating, we are going through such kind of experiences. So at that time, realize the true nature of that, how can I say, emotion. And then rather than being very discriminative about, oh, again, I am going through this experience, we just realize that that's a part of that's a part of mind. My mind is the embodiment of a Buddha, right? So in such practices, but that's not the deepest meaning or the deepest teaching of that. Yeah. Gunenda, I guess that's pretty much it, right? So now we are almost at 10:30 in Thailand.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank
I
you
hope
very
I
much.
answered your question. Is there
All of you,
any question?
Any questions? There's no questions. And due to the time constraints, we are going to end for these sections. Today, we have a variety of knowledge from the Vajrayāna Buddhism, from the main speaker, and some other participants also discuss about those kinds of questions and opinions. Thank you very much for tonight. So everyone, respective Venerable, and then also the lay devotees. So let me end off these sections together with the...
Gunenda, excuse me,
yes.
before we end up the session, I also like to thank all the senior monks here. Masi, indeed, I have tremendous amount of respect for the Mahasanghas here. As you know, as I can see on my screen, most of you guys are very elder, and all venerables, who are looking after the Shila monastic rules, which is very difficult this day. I mean, especially in the such era where the things are very difficult. I mean that, how can I say that? I don't even have the words to describe about the Mahasanghas here. So which means I feel very honored. I feel very, very blessed. And thank you very much for giving me such wonderful opportunity. And next time, if I organize such kind of talk, I would like to invite you guys to share your share your knowledge and distribute your wisdom to the rest of the world. Yeah. Thank you very much, Venerable.
The main organizer, the Venerable Shadow Wisoda, do you have any comment or opinion to say about like this?
Yeah, okay, Bhante, Dr. Ugyen, thank you so much for your presentation, very insightful presentation. Your insightful talk open our eye for the Vajrayāna. I'm really happy for that. I really happy, really surprised for that. We had been the Buddha for 3 minutes. I never thought that. That's one. I hope this talk is this talk is not your last talk. I occasionally please come and join and talk on our program from time to time. I really appreciate. Now you see this as a small gift and as a token of our appreciation. I would like to confer this certificate. Do you see my screen sharing?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Okay, thank you so much. Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
May you be well, happy, healthy, and more successful.
Let me add off the sections. According to the Theravada traditions, especially for my Myanmar traditions, so we have to end off these sections with the Buddha, Sadhana, and Jiran the 3 times. So altogether, I would like to invite all of you to be recite Buddha, Sadhana, Jiran, Buddha, Sadhana, Jiran, Buddha, Sadhana, Jiran, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu.
Thank you all. Stay strong, safe. Tata. Good night, bye.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.